she opened the door, 3 bodies on the floor. But her little sister? Gone, and no one will ever hear from her again. Years later, a confession was said, but no arrest was made. To this day, the mystery remains unsolved. This is the Keddie Cabin Murder. Hit like and subscribe for more true crime mysteries. Don't forget to put your theory in the comment below. There's a stretch of forest in the Sierra Nevada mountains where even the wind seems to forget how to move. Pines lean in over decaying rooftops, casting shadows long after the sun has disappeared. If you follow the old railroad town of Keddie far enough, past the cracked roads and crumbling cabins, you'll find an empty patch of dirt. No markers, no warnings, just the ghost of something terrible. Once, a family lived here. Once, the walls of Cabin 28 held laughter, the smell of dinner, the footsteps of children. And then, one night in April of 1981, something stepped inside that cabin and ripped it all apart. It was early on the morning of April 12th. 14-year-old Sheila Sharp had spent the night with the neighbors next door, escaping the crowded cabin where her mother and 4 siblings were sleeping. When she stepped through the front door around 7 a.m., the world went quiet. Not the peaceful kind of silence, no birds, no voices, no morning sounds, just a suffocating stillness. Then she saw the bodies. Her mother, Sue Sharp, lay sprawled on the floor, gagged and bound. Her brother Johnny, just 15, was beside her, his skull shattered. Dana Wingate, Johnny's friend, was barely recognizable. Blood soaked the carpet, the walls, even the ceiling. Furniture had been knocked over, a coffee table splintered. Nearby, a claw hammer lay on the ground, bent and sticky. But what chilled Sheila more than the gore was the absence. Her 12-year-old sister Tina was missing. Sue Sharp had come to Keddie to escape. Fleeing an abusive husband in Connecticut, she packed her 5 children into a station wagon and drove west, hoping to rebuild their lives. The town was dying, but rent was cheap. Cabin 28 sat at the edge of the resort grounds, peeling paint, creaky steps, and air that always felt too still. Sue was raising her kids alone, piecing together part-time jobs and food stamps. She didn't have much, but she had hope. That's the part no one talks about. Sue tried. She really tried. On the night of April 11th, things were normal, or at least they seemed to be. Johnny and Dana had hitchhiked to Quincy and back. Sue stayed in while the younger kids played and watched TV. At 9:30 p.m., Sheila left to sleep over at the Seabolt's cabin just a few feet away. By midnight, the lights in Cabin 28 had dimmed. At 2 a.m., there were no signs of life. But sometime between then and dawn, something, or someone, entered the cabin. There was no forced entry, no broken glass, just a door that opened. And then, murder. The scene inside was unlike anything local deputies had ever seen. Sue Sharp was gagged with her own underwear and bound with medical tape. Her face was beaten so badly it was nearly caved in. Her throat had been cut. A knife left bent near her body. Johnny had been bludgeoned with a claw hammer, his wounds deep and methodical. Dana, too, had been tied up, strangled, and then, like the others, beaten. Whoever did this didn't just want them dead. They wanted them destroyed. The violence was personal, intimate, prolonged. Blood pooled on the carpet, smeared along the walls, soaked into the bedding. It was everywhere. And yet, 3 children were found unharmed in the back bedroom. Ricky Sharp, his younger brother Greg, and a neighborhood boy Justin all slept through it. Or so they claimed. Years later, Justin would describe vague memories, muffled voices, someone crying. Maybe it was fear that kept him silent, or maybe someone told him not to talk. But the true horror lay in what wasn't found. Tina was gone. Her coat, her shoes, her body. There were no signs of a struggle, no bloody footprints leading away. It was as if she had simply vanished into the forest. From the beginning, the investigation was a disaster. Officers trampled through the cabin without gloves, allowing neighbors and reporters to enter freely. Evidence was mishandled. Fingerprints on the doorknob were ignored. Blood samples were mislabeled. Crucial pieces of tape and bindings went missing. It didn't take long before rumors started to spread. Whispers of a cover-up, of incompetence too strange to be accidental. Then there were the suspects. Martin Smart was a neighbor, a hot-tempered man with a military background and a failing marriage. He blamed Sue for encouraging his wife to leave him. That same weekend, Martin had stayed with a friend, John Beau Boubaid. Beau was a known criminal with ties to organized crime. Both men were questioned, but never seriously pursued. Martin told investigators he had lost a claw hammer the day before the murders. Convenient. Beau left town soon after and was never seen again. But the most disturbing moment came years later, when Martin allegedly confessed to a therapist. "I killed the woman and her daughter," he said, "but I didn't have anything to do with the boys." The confession was never recorded. It was dismissed. The case sat in boxes. Cold, forgotten. 3 years after the murders, in 1984, a bottle scavenger wandering the woods near Feather Falls stumbled on something strange. A human skull. Tiny. Weathered by rain and time. Alongside it, fragments of a jaw, pieces of clothing, and a child's blanket. The bones were sent for analysis. The results came back. They belonged to Tina Sharp. She'd been taken nearly 80 miles from the cabin, dumped, left to rot. No one knows how she died. No one even tried to find out. And then, the phone call. An anonymous voice called the sheriff's office that same day. "I was watching the news, and I think the remains belong to Tina Sharp." The caller hung up. No one traced the line, no one followed up. Over time, theories emerged that the murders were revenge, that drugs were involved, that Tina had witnessed something and paid the price, but none of it led anywhere. In 2016, new investigators reopened the case. They found evidence that had been intentionally excluded from the original files. A hammer matching the murder weapon was discovered in a nearby pond. DNA from the bindings was retested. Names were named, but no arrests were made. Many of the original suspects were now dead. So were the answers. Cabin 28 stood for decades after the murders. A decaying, boarded-up relic, whispered about by locals and avoided by children. Stories grew, of lights in the windows, shadows behind curtains, screams in the middle of the night. In 2004, it was quietly torn down. No ceremony, no memorial, just erasure, as though removing the wood might remove the truth. But truth doesn't rot. It waits, buried under the silence. Today, Sheila Sharp still carries the weight of that morning. The moment she opened the door and saw her family scattered like broken dolls. She lives with that image every night. She has told her story again and again, hoping that someone, somewhere, will say the words that finally crack the silence. Someone got away with it. Someone walked out of cabin 28 and disappeared into the trees. And maybe they're gone. Or maybe they're still watching. Waiting. Knowing they were never caught. Cabin 28 is gone. But in Keddie, the wind still skips that patch of dirt. The birds still don't sing there. And the silence, it's not peace, it's memory. It's the sound of something terrible, still breathing.